Hi, welcome to the Ivy MSc podcast series. My name is Chelsea Boudreau, and I am the Associate Director for the MSc Recruitment and Admissions team. I'm here to help students through their applications all the way to post-admissions and helping to provide support until the program starts. Today, I wanted to host a podcast really focused on how to determine which of the Ivy MSc streams are a good fit for you. So whether it is the business analytics or the digital management in particular. To help with this conversation, I am joined by Warren Ritchie. Welcome, Warren.
Thank you very much, Chelsea.
So, Warren, why don't you start by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about your role here at Ivy?
Okay, thank you. So, Warren Ritchie, obviously, a PhD from North Carolina. I've been at Ivy for 5 years. I'm assistant professor here, but I'm also director of the MSc program. And so I've been doing that for the last 3 years, and we're making some changes to the program and trying to modernize a lot of things and all that sort of stuff. So that's what I've been involved with.
Wonderful. Thanks so much. And thanks so much again for joining me today. To start, I know we get this question quite a bit, but if you could tell us in a bit more detail, what really differentiates the MSc in management from, say, the MBA, and how can this set students up for success?
Sure. 3 core differences and then a number of other subtle ones. But the first one being it's pre-experience program. So the students are required to have an undergraduate degree, not necessarily in business, and they're recruiting and coming in at the ages of 23, 24, whereas MBA is typically a later intake. Maybe students are upwards of their late 20s or early 30s sort of thing. So first of all, pre-experience, no experience requirement in that regard. Second thing is that the MSc in management is in fact a specialized degree program. So the HBA program, the MBA program in particular, are general management programs where the program is actually comprised of a cross-section of business discipline courses, so accounting and finance, operations, strategy, et cetera, marketing. So everybody takes that cross-section of courses. The MSc program is capability-based. It's aligned to internal capabilities in organizations like international business, business analytics, and digital management. So the capability basis means we're specialized. Each of those capabilities may have a component of accounting, finance, operations, but it's that capability that we focus on. So that's the next thing, is specialized capability. And the third is the MSc is more experiential. We have more experiential learning opportunities in the MSc program. We work with clients more frequently, and a greater percentage of your course credits that are required to graduate are in experiential courses where you work with clients. So those are 3 differences. It really is a specialized degree program. That would be the way to summarize it.
Okay, great. And you touched on a couple points that I really want to cover. And one is about that specialization that you just addressed. And so specifically in this episode, I want to talk about business analytics and digital management. We see that these 2 programs are different but very similar, and students often get stuck on which one is the best one for me. So can you tell us a little bit about kind of that specialized focus in business analytics versus digital management and how these 2 differ?
Okay. So I come from practice. I was a CIO in an automotive company for a number of years when I came in here. We have those functions in organizations, people who are focused on analytics, finding insights in data and trying to think through what could they be used for, these insights, and then people who focus on using technology for innovation. And they are typically, in my parlance, they're called 2 sides of the same coin. So insights from data can be used to then generate new innovative opportunities leveraging technology. So they are very much related. I would suggest that if individuals are trying to decide which of the programs that they, or which of the streams they really want to focus on, they can start to think about what the deliverable may be and what sort of thinking goes into creating the deliverable from each of the streams. As I said, business analytics is really more about finding insights from data. It's a lot about rational things. It's a lot about putting pieces together to look for patterns and understanding them. And if your mind sort of goes to that, and if that is something you like to do, maybe the analytics side is the stream to think about. If, on the other hand, it's more about thinking about creative applications or new uses of technology, or how to do something unique and novel that hasn't been done before, the creative aspect is a little more what the digital management stream is about. inside an organization, getting better at insights through analytics and getting better at innovation through leveraging digital, as I said, are two sides of the same coin. Organizations get better when they focus on both and move up. So it's a related process. Both are in demand in the marketplace. And how a student decides may be more a function of what they really prefer to do with work. Use the rational side of their mind or use the creative side of mind. That might be one way to think about it.
Okay. And when you're looking at kind of the students that are succeeding in the program, do you see a correlation between their academic background and what skills are necessary to be successful in business analytics versus digital management? Do we see similarities there or some bigger differences?
There are patterns in there, but not ones that I'd want to generalize that allow people to start to think about, well, I did my undergraduate degree in philosophy or in ancient Italian art or something like that, and which way should I go? I really think that they should think back, what is it they're trying to do with their mind, how they want to work on various problems in the future, as opposed to thinking about, I have a background in this, an undergraduate degree in that sets me up for this or that. We don't require you to have a business undergraduate degree. The business analytics stream does have a requirement around mathematics, and that's so that you have that orientation. The digital management stream does not. Okay. And so we are really looking for people who are trying to pivot their career towards these specialty areas or their early career towards these specialty areas. And we're treating them all as they're coming in as saying, look, they're starting something new. It's a business degree at Ivy, and they're really looking to start to build on some new capabilities.
Okay. And just to kind of go back to that math experience, that quantitative experience, how much experience do you think students need to have to feel comfortable with the rigor of the program in both digital management and business analytics?
Well, we have the requirements specified on the website in terms of what the minimums are and that sort of stuff. But I don't think that students should be feeling that they're approaching this as though they're going into a degree in applied mathematics or theoretical mathematics. I think they need to think through, can I think logically? Am I interested in programming? Am I interested in understanding how numbers work and all those sort of things? Even though there is a certain degree of interpretation around the analytics, it's just not mathematically grinding through to get answers. It's trying to understand what the insight might be on that. And so I don't think students should be intimidated by the math requirements for the business analytics drill, but you should expect that you're going to have to demonstrate capability in those areas in the program. Okay. On the digital side, we don't require it. A lot of students come with it, but not all do. And I wouldn't suggest that the ones who do or don't do equally better or worse in the program after the 16 months.
And that's correct. We see some students come in with really unique undergraduate degrees in all programs who do very well at Ivy, and it's primarily because that case-based learning environment and the practical learning components. Would you say?
Yeah, I would. Actually, the case-based method is set up for conversations where students learn from other students through the dialogue and the case delivery. I would also say it's just how well students apply themselves. And if they really apply themselves and decide this is what they want to do, they end up being successful here.
Great. I want to go back to another point that you talked about, which is that experiential learning component that students, take part in both streams of the program. Now, with business analytics, we see that internship or the Ivy Analytics Lab is what students are partaking in, whereas with digital management, they're doing the Digital Innovation Studio, which is these 3 consulting sprints. Now, students tend to get stuck on the internship part of business analytics and see that as more valuable than saying the consulting sprints that you're doing in digital management. Is that true? And can you speak to a little bit more detail about these 2 experiential learning components?
Well, I wouldn't say there's any difference in terms of employment placement, speed to placement, or career success, at least as far as we track it in the first few years of their career. Both streams place very well in with employers and that sort of thing. So. But the experiential is also aligned a little bit to the core objectives of the individual stream. So experiential in analytics has been individual internship focus. We're moving it to become more group and more large client focused. So it's becoming a little more consulting than historically it has been. But it was really allowing students to work with sometimes small, sometimes mid-size, often local companies, helping them with some of their basic analytics processes, helping them understand data, helping them organize data, helping do other things. The Digital Innovation Studio, true to the the nature of the digital management stream is more about creative, innovative ideas. Students are asked to put themselves in the client's mission, understand the client's customers, and project where that customer journey might be in 5 or 10 years with a full embrace of various technologies. And today, the technology that is in the most interest of clients and students as well is artificial intelligence of all different forms, sort of thing. So digital management streams through IDIS or the Digital Innovation Studio tend to be heavily more AI-oriented currently, as of the last 2 years. The analytics side, the internship, we're moving more towards working with synthetic data and working on clients and helping them understand how to mature their data practice. So although the two are different for historical reasons, I wouldn't say that they have a difference in terms of career opportunity outcomes or short-term career success.
Right, and with some of the changes that you're talking about too, as we're leaning more towards consulting focus, even with business analytics, that's very much in line with what we see students pursue in terms of employment. Yep. After graduating from Ivy, we see most students fall into a consulting role post-graduation. So it makes a lot of sense to see that evolution.
Yeah, it does. It's pleasing. Look at Ivy attracts financial services and consulting, historically has through the strengths of the general management programs, MBA and HBA. But when those recruiters are here, the MSc students do really quite well in the specialty areas with those organizations. And as I said earlier, I mean, the consulting entities are coming looking for people that might be part of some sort of engagement model, and they may be evaluating business analytics students in the same interview process. They're looking at digital management students and international business students as well. So really it comes down to fit with the organization and some of the other things that might be related to communication skills, being a good team player, that determine your career success with recruiters or initial career success with recruiters more than the actual stream that you're coming out of.
Great. And then are you able to share any really interesting partners that we've worked with in the past, either from the business analytics side or digital management, and some pretty incredible outcomes from our students, because we know the output is really impressive. I've had the chance to witness some of the Digital Innovation Studio presentations at CIBC and just incredibly impressed with what the students output.
So in both the Analytics Lab and the Digital Innovation Studio, we work with small organizations. Some students are working with small local organizations on analytics, or in the Digital Innovation Studio, in the first sprints, they are more focused with local not-for-profits typically. In the second sprint, we're typically dealing often with not-for-profits, but often more healthcare focused. And in the third sprint, we work with CIBC and have for the last 5 years on innovative things for CIBC in the financial services industry. On the IAL side, not every student will work with 3 clients. Currently, but there will be some students who work with smaller not-for-profits, some students who work in healthcare, and some students who may find an opportunity to work with a chartered bank and that sort of stuff. So it stacks up slightly differently between the two streams, but again, that aligns to the notion of innovation on the digital side and insights on the analytics side.
Okay. I want to go back to something that you touched on that's very relevant, that I think is top of mind for a lot of students, and that is AI. And there's a lot of conversation about AI right now. So how is the digital management program and the business analytics program really setting students up to understand what is happening with this technology, how to use it in their own career goals and in their own skill set to make sure that they are very employable when they feel like they're in a competing market against AI?
So as it relates to AI, in the individual coursework that they do, there will be a component of artificial intelligence crawling into the case-based learning and that sort of thing. We are in the process of just launching now an acceleration lab, which puts both digital management students and business analytics students together on teams to work from starting with data, creating synthetic data from that data for privacy reasons, et cetera, and then working through a model that leads up to innovation. So in those projects, which we're running in our newly launched Acceleration Lab, those projects are in fact a mixture of both DM, BA, and some IB students as well, spinning the whole thing. What we're also doing is shifting the mindset from AI being a tool to actually AI being a companion form of intelligence for middle managers to work with that creates tools. And this expansion of the scope has gotten us into some really interesting conversations with clients who want to be part of the discussion on that. So many organizations are trying to figure out what is their plan around artificial intelligence, and there's little pockets of activity happening here, here, and here. But what we're doing now is trying to build a way for organizations to think of it on a much broader scale. Students get experience with artificial intelligence. Students start to think how the future of work and the future of organization is being transformed by this particular technology. Students, I'm finding, are embracing it, really challenging themselves and pushing it. The clients that they're working with are finding that the student deliverables often exceed what they're able to generate internally because the students are sort of, I would say, more creative and more aggressive, may not be the right word, but really more provocative in thinking about solutions.
Yeah,
and that's
not
been
so
quite helpful.
Stuck inside, sorry to interrupt, but say like stuck inside the framework of how the organization has operated for so long. They can see outside of that.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
They don't have all the inertial forces that keep the organization on this, steady and straight and narrow. Students are really starting to be creative in terms of, and the design thinking courses, the design-driven innovation course that we offer, and a number of other things are places where students sort of get encouraged to try that creative thinking.
Okay. And with the digital management stream, I want to talk about that program specifically because it's fairly new to MSC. It was launched not too long ago. So how have you seen this program evolve, and what does the future really look like for the digital management program?
So yes, I came. My first year was teaching in the digital management stream. The stream was created with the sort of explosion of web technologies inside organizations that was happening in the late 20-teens sort of thing, and more technologies really changing business models, really transforming industries and all that. And so the stream was created to say we should have a perspective on this in the Master of Science program. The progression of technologies is seemingly unrelenting. There are new technologies coming all the time. So what we teach in the stream is not to focus on one particular technology, but to think technologies in terms of frameworks and how you're going to assess whether the technology is right for your organization and when it's right for your organization, and how to manage a portfolio of technologies so that you don't have all your eggs in one basket when another technology emerges and it's hard for you to pivot. So what we do is place a lot on frameworks, a lot on understanding your business model, understanding the commercial value of technologies, and we move that way. That's positioned us well to be able to take advantage of some of the emerging technologies like blockchain, like virtual reality, which is still emerging, and especially like artificial intelligence. And we're now actually doing casework, we will in this winter session in the digital management stream, on quantum computing and what that is. Now, science isn't quite ready yet, but if and when it does get ready, the business implications are pretty staggering. And so we want students to be thinking through, what does this mean? Because as I said, although I said if or when, I think it's more a question of when, not if. And I think if it is when, it's going to be sometime in the early to mid-career portion of the students in the MSc program. Yeah. And them having worked on some potential use cases and how quantum may have an impact on organizations, I think it's a good thing for us to be starting those sort of conversations. It's
very exciting. Lots of interesting prospects for students and ways to continue growing and challenging students as they come into this program. Yeah. In terms of kind of the MSc Business Analytics and Digital Management students, what can you tell our listeners the types of skills they're really going to walk away with? How do they market themselves to recruiters in a job market that feels really challenging right now for new graduates?
So the program overall has broad objectives for both international business analytics, and digital management streams. Students, we want them to be critical thinkers and say they will practice through case method and also through working on client projects, experiential projects. They will learn critical thinking skills. We also want them to be evidence-based decision makers. We want them to be able to pull information to use to support making the decisions. And we want them, when we place a lot of emphasis on working in teams, and they will work on multiple teams during the course of their 16 months here, and sometimes that's challenging and sometimes that's not, but they develop skills about working in teams, which is how the real world really gets work done. And the last thing that is common to all of them that we want them to deliver on is we want them to be good communicators and practice their communication skills. Now, they get that in small group discussions in their teams as they're preparing for cases or working on experiential learning, but we really still have a big premium on contribution in case-based learning where students are encouraged to contribute, speak, and really get confident pushing their ideas out, understanding what other people are saying, and being able to sort of stay with the conversation. And that's an acquired skill, and we spend some time on that so that the students are able to graduate to be that. Now, of course, for each of the streams, there's some specialties in international business about understanding international strategy, within analytics, understanding all the various mechanisms by which you can look for insights, and in digital, understanding the basics, the commercial value of all the emerging technologies as we see them coming.
Okay. And you brought up a good point about, setting them up for success and being really prepared to engage in the classroom discussion. What can students expect from the Ivy experience when they're applying for the program? How do they set the right expectations, and how do they make sure that they're successful at Ivy? It's a short period of time. It's 16 months. It happens very quickly. How do they set themselves up for success?
Well, I think coming with an expectation that this is a program, and our graduating students say it, and we run reflection sessions now. We just ran the most recent one a couple of weeks ago. Students will typically say when they're about to leave is you get out of this program what you put into it. Most students say if they had one regret in the program, they wish they had put a little more into exploring various things, or taking something that was maybe not the most logical choice, but something that they had an interest in, working in different team members and all of that sort of stuff. So it is really something that if you really immerse yourself into it, you're really going to get the most benefit out of it. Another thing that I like to think we do, and I have the feedback from the recruiters, is that we're trying to prepare students to deal with really relevant issues for businesses right now. Not the easy problems that are routine and come up, that really the challenging projects. For example, with artificial intelligence, how is that shaping the organization of the future? We want them working on these leading edge problems because that makes them relevant on day one with their new employer. And that is the goal, the unspoken goal that I have internally, is that students will add value on day one. They will not be intimidated when they move into their new employer, when they hear the employer is thinking about this or struggling with that. They will think, I've had a perspective which is similar to this. Maybe this or maybe that might be a way to go. So I want them to be able to add value on day one. Organizations are changing, they're adapting, they're transforming, industries are disrupting. I want students to understand that's the reality of their future career for some period of time, and not be intimidated by that, to actually seek out the opportunities that it presents for either managing international subsidiaries in international business, or whether it's finding insights in the ever-increasing pile of data, or using the emerging technologies.
That's great. That adding value on day one really comes all the way back to that first point that you made about how the MSc really differentiates from the MBA, and that they're specialists who can really take action on day one. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Warren. Before we wrap up the conversation, I wanted to ask, is there any piece of advice you have for students who are thinking about applying to the MSc in management, or any last thoughts?
So I would suggest reach out and find some current students or find some recent alumni who can explain to them their experience, how they think it's prepared them for that. I would ask the students consider trying to understand career success, and our career management people are happy to speak to people as applicants as well as in the program. We have a rather robust career management stream through the program to help students get placed. But reach out and ask questions of people who are currently involved in it. And myself, also happy to be asked questions, as well as any faculty that applicants might be aware of or become familiar with, to ask questions about it. So be engaged, converse, propose the questions, and that would be my recommendation.
Great, wonderful. And we have a lot of those resources on our website, Unibuddy. Great way to connect with current ambassadors in the program. And now is a great time to talk to a lot of them because they are finishing up their final final term, so they can really give you a robust look at what their experience has been like. I want to thank you so much, Warren. Thank you to our listeners. Please check out our website for upcoming deadlines for applications, and we hope to see you apply in the near future. Thank you.